Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to. I just thought we needed some high energy to start this off. But everyone, if you're listening, then your hearing is doing pretty good. Welcome to episode 4. Wait, 5. Dang it.
Cinco.
I asked Jacob if I could do the intro this time, and I'm already messing it up. I got so nervous, even though it's just us, and we could totally retake this if we wanted to.
No, I love
Jacob,
that. That was perfect.
We don't retake because
One
why
take,
do
baby.
that? One take, one love, one life.
Everybody knows the rules.
That's right. Everyone, one bite. Everyone knows the rules. Takes 5 bites. Shout out Dave Portnoy, which we love or hate depending on who you are.
We agree with you.
That's how spineless I am. I don't want anyone to know any of my opinions because, I just don't want to get canceled. So whatever you like, I like, because I don't have any opinion strong enough to where I want to lose my money. Anyway, folks, welcome. This is the Half Brothers Podcast. My name is Glenn.
I'm Jacob.
And we are half brothers.
We only said it twice today.
Amazing. Well, yeah, Jacob, let's before we dive into some stuff, we're going to be talking about some deep topics today. I'm talking spiritual. I'm talking faith. I'm talking sacrifice. But before we get to that, let's catch up, see how things are going. I literally only talk to Jacob when we do this. Otherwise, I have no reason to be in communication with him. So
he doesn't like me.
Yeah, really not a fan of this guy. So Jacob, whatever, say what you want to say, dude. I'm just kidding. Jacob, how are you? How was soccer this week? The fans want to know.
Yeah, soccer was crazy this week. So I played 3 times a week. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you, actually, my friends don't watch this, so most of you don't know that I play soccer 3 times a week. Play in a men's league Tuesday, co-ed leagues Thursday and Saturday. Last night was men's league, and like half of our team was missing. We were playing the second place team in the bracket. We're kind of bottom of the table, so we're not looking real hot. And our main goalie wasn't there. The goalie for my co-ed team, who's probably one of the better goalies that like even plays in these rec leagues, was not able to play. So we had to get this guy who we played against last week. We put 12 goals on his head. So we're thinking like, oh, worst case, and this is going to be bad tonight. We're playing a good team. When we played them with our real keeper, they beat us like 8-2 the last time that we played them. So everybody on the team is thinking like this is going to go very poorly tonight. We're missing a bunch of people. We only got 1 sub, and we got this guy that we just put 12 on him on our co-ed team who's not that good. Our co-ed team is not that good, and we just put 12 goals on this dude's head.
Real quick, I just want to stop you there. For some of the fans out there, when you say put goals on his head, what exactly does that mean?
12 goals with him in goal.
So you're not actually physically assaulting his head.
No, yeah, we're not assaulting his head. We scored 12 goals with this man in goal. So we're thinking worst case scenario. We're thinking we're about to get the brick speed off of us. Game starts. They score a goal pretty quick. They're pressing us real bad. We can't get the ball out of our half. And it's not going well. And then yours truly takes the ball down, scores a goal with his left foot. Never do that. Rarely ever happens. I am right-footed, severely right-footed, and I got to go with my left foot. So it's tied up 1-1 like 20 minutes into the game. We're thinking like, yo, 20 minutes into the game, it's 1-1. We can hold this out and we can tie this game. Like we can just keep this game tied. Walk out of here with a point.
Now, Jacob, in that moment, did you think, wow, I'm going to mess this up like I always do for my team?
No, I was feeling pretty good. Like, because, I mean, typically, like, I try to take the ball to my right foot, but everybody's right-footed unless, like, you make it kind of obvious that you're left-footed, and then people can usually pick up on that pretty quickly. So usually people aren't going to let you go to your right because everyone's right-footed. So he wasn't letting me go to my right, so I was like, okay, I'll go to my left, and he just kind of let me go to my left. The keeper started coming out on me, and I just put it near post. It was a good finish, left-footed, felt real good about it. So yeah, and then
Well, you got it?
Yeah, I scored. Left-footed.
Oh, heck yeah. Left-footed. Wow.
Yeah.
So that begs the question. Okay, everyone talks about this, right? It's very controversial. Do you think people are born right-footed or left-footed, or that it's a choice in life, or that they learn it later on?
That is a very tough question. I feel like born. I feel like born because like I if I ever threw things as a young infant boy, it was right-handed. I probably always kicked right-footed. So I do think you're probably born that way. And it's just like everybody does have a dominant side. Even the people that can use both, there is one that they prefer to use. So I think you're probably born like that.
They used to, this is like real. So they used to think that people that were left-handed back in the day were like, had some type of special needs or some type of, well, I don't think they were even that nice about it, because like my uncle has special needs, right? Like we call, we're very kind. We treat these people kind. They thought that these people were like, something was wrong with them.
Yeah.
Medicine was wild back then. They thought women were witches because, they got like cranky sometimes.
I mean, most people they're right-handed or right-footed. Like most people are right side dominant. But anyway, like 2 minutes after I scored that goal, tie the game up 1-1, we're thinking, just sit on this, keep the game tied the whole time. We'll walk out of here with a point. And those of you who don't play soccer, you don't know. If you tie the game, you get a point. If you win the game, you get 3 points into the table standings. So we're thinking walk out of here with a point. 2 minutes later, we go back down, score another goal. 3 minutes after that, go back down, score another goal. 3 minutes after that, go back down, score another goal. We're up 4-1 on the second place team with most of our team missing, and we're feeling ourselves. We're feeling pretty good,
right?
And then the goalie that we had, he wasn't the best. He didn't make very many saves, but again, those you don't know who don't play the game, he's a good keeper sweeper. So he's athletic. So he was able to, anytime there was long balls, anytime, there was like 50-50s where the keeper can come out, he was coming out.
Keep it clean, bro. Keep it clean.
He was coming out and making stops. He's got good feet, so he was, staying pretty high up.
Dude.
I said he's got good feet.
Yeah, that we don't need to know what you're into like that.
It means he can use his feet.
Children are listening to this.
Not all keepers can use their feet. If you pass the ball back to some goalies, you're asking for trouble. It was not the case with him. He can play the ball back. He's got a decent first touch. So he would stay a little higher up so we could use him to kind of, recycle the ball. But anyway, he wasn't making a ton of saves. Pretty much every goal they scored was because he just isn't that great of a goalie. Like one went right through his hands.
I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast.
He's definitely not listening to this podcast.
This
and
poor guy,
I'm gonna be real, he's kind of a punk. Like he tries to get in fights all the time.
Bro.
He broke one of my buddy's wrists at an open field one time. Yeah, so he's not the greatest guy. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, and listen here, Jack. When I come to Ohio, I'm coming for you, brother. And I'm gonna. I'll tell you what. He thinks his balls are long now. You just wait till I get a hold of this guy and his feet. Anyway, watch it, Jack.
It's crazy because I'm not gonna say his name. It's not Jack though, but it's close.
We're praying for him.
But like 2 weeks ago, last week when we scored, we actually only scored 10 on him because then he switched out and started playing the field.
That's so many.
Exactly. We scored 10 on him, and then he started playing the field, and I got a blue card against him. So a blue card is if you foul somebody too close to the wall or like push them into the wall, you get a blue card. You got to go out. Your team's down a man. They get a penalty. It's wild. So I got my first blue card against him a couple weeks ago, and I didn't put him into the wall. I hit the ball out from under his feet, got his legs with it. He fell over, and I almost went into the wall trying not to fall on top of him. So I was about to fall on top of him, put my hands against the wall so I didn't fall on top of him. Got a blue card because it was too close to the wall. They still didn't score from it. We beat them 12-0. But anyway, so like and then when I fell over him, he like grabbed my legs and was about to try to pull me down. Like he's one of those kind of guys. Like he just plays physical as he can. Anyway, and ball went through his hands a couple times. There's a minute left. We're up 5-4. And then they shoot the ball at him. He doesn't quite make the save. It's going behind him. He like pats it forward, almost catches it. The ball does not fully cross the line, which is what makes it a goal. If the ball touches the line, it's not a goal. The ball has to fully cross over the line for it to be a goal. It 100% did not fully cross over the line, but this is not professional leagues. There's not goal line technology. There's not cameras.
Right.
So the ref gave him a goal. There's a minute left in the game. It's tied 5-5. We're thinking, hey, you know what? We blew the game, but we got out of here with a point when we thought we were going to get beat 12-0. So all is well. And then 30 seconds left, we go down. Our best player crosses it into the box. The dude that was subbing for us that plays on like all my other teams with me His name's Nutter. He watches this. Oh, he actually commented with you.
We
Nutter.
gotta keep this clean, man.
He comments on our. It's his
Good
last
Lord, all these things, bro.
name. See, now that's disrespectful, bro. That's his last name.
Well, I got to talk to his parents or his ancestors. I got to talk to his ancestors. Actually, no, I have seen his name. And Nutter, we appreciate the support, man.
Yeah, he likes all of our stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I've always loved Nutter. Nutter Butter.
He's
Those
a great
are pretty
guy.
good. All right, back to this Barberton, Ohio soccer drama because this is getting intense. How does this end, Jacob?
Yeah, so they cross it in. Best player on our team crosses it into Nutter. He somehow gets a piece of it. Ball smacks against the ground. Like it's like an inch off the ground. So then he gets a piece of it. It pops back on the ground again. Bounces over because the goalie's coming out on him. So the goalie's down on the ground.
Congrats.
Bounces over the goalie. Goes into the goal with like 10 seconds left. And we win.
That was a coming out joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was incredible. Oh my gosh. I just missed the ending because I was trying to make a joke. Wait, so it went in.
Yeah, it went in. We won the game with like 10
Let's
seconds
go.
left. It was wild.
And
Also
what's your
in
team's
that
name? What's your team's name?
Disruptors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because y'all be making noise.
My co-ed team that is cracked. We only lost one game last session. And it was to the worst team we played to. That doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how it happened.
Dang.
My co-ed team's name is Good News SC.
Good news, what?
Good News SC Soccer Club.
Ah, there we go. I like that a lot. Well, dude, that's pretty intense stuff, man. And folks, that's about all the time we have. This has been 40 minutes of Jacob telling us about soccer in Barberton. Guys, join us next time when I talk to you about how long it took me to clip my toenails today. No, I'm just messing. But that is intense. I just wish we had like an animation team. One day we will. Because if we could do like a little animation of like everything you just said, we could make that so funny. You're just roasting this dude the whole time. Like you scored 20 goals basically on him.
Yeah, no, he's not great. I'm not gonna lie. And if he would have been cooler to me after the game, like I was giving him his props, but he was just kind of being a chosh.
It sounds like
it.
Draymond Green.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a very good comparison.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole
Draymond
time.
Green
I'm
is
like,
not good. He just depends on his physicality.
And the fact that he's got the best shooter of all time on his team, so he can just be a whiny little baby and say, "Oh, he's so important to our team." Why? Because he's the only one with personality. Yeah. He's not scoring though.
Can we talk about our thumbnail or no, should we not talk about
that? Yeah, go ahead. I got to clip him, but yeah, no, you can. Go ahead. You want to give a shout out?
Yeah. Big shout out to Glenn's niece Maddie for making us a fire thumbnail for our YouTube video. I said this to Glenn. I was blown away by that thumbnail. That thumbnail was so good. I was literally thinking to myself, hey, I'm going to have to start making thumbnails. I'm going to have to watch a bunch of different videos. I had my own YouTube channel back in the day. I plan to start posting on it again someday. Last time I posted on it was like 4 years ago. Doesn't get any views because my thumbnails are trash. And she made us a thumbnail and it was very, very good. And it was also kind of something that like just like really fulfilled, like made me feel really good seeing her make that thumbnail, because I was like, like the goals, the dreams, the aspirations of doing something like this and wanting this to be successful is to be able to, end our family curses and, generational curses in our family. Neither one of our families has been rich. Neither one of our families has, had, lots of money or always been able to put food on the table. But, that's a goal. And it's not just like, hey, me and my immediate family, like, my future wife and kids, God willing, but it's also, my surrounding family. If, one of my aunts, gets down bad in their fortune and that they need some money, they can't feed their, my little cousins, I would love to be able to help them out. And seeing that thumbnail that she made, I'm like, wow, this could be, like, if we make this successful, we could help her be successful, because she could, we could, one day be able to pay her, one day be able to actually have her be an employee.
She owes me a lot. I don't have kids, so I've got to spoil her. So we will get child labor laws against us, buddy.
When she is a real adult, and if this ever, becomes something that generates income.
For sure.
One of our real, like, we could have a real employee that isn't just somebody that
I'll pay her anyway.
Met on Craigslist or something to hire to fill in the things that we need. It's, someone that has a connection with us.
For sure.
So I think that was really cool. And I was like, man, God answers the prayers that you don't always, bow your head and fold your hands about.
Yeah, bro. I will say, I love my niece, and she's very talented in a lot of ways. But yeah, it was just sweet, man, to see like, the family, friends and family supporting us, and like we're, for just a couple of guys that are trying this out and trying to figure out how to do this and be entertaining and have fun and, do something. Because we know there's millions of podcasts people could be listening to. If you look at some of our numbers, it's not bad, and that's because friends and family have been supporting us and giving us a chance. So, yeah, thank you all. And, shout out to Maddie. Great job on the thumbnail. You owe us a few more, and then maybe we'll start paying you. But, no. But, yeah, man, I've gotten a lot of good feedback and stuff. So it's we'll see.
Turn your mic around. I think the words that are on your mic is where you need to be talking into.
Boom, right here.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. I'm working on this microphone thing, and I can adjust this audio later. But, so shout out to the friends and family supporting this. Just think, 3 years from now, when this thing's blown up, you'll be like, I was there at the beginning. Or 3 years from now, when, we kind of got bored and stopped doing this, you'll be like, hey, how come you're not doing that anymore? So it's one or the other.
Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Because you didn't share it. But that being said, we do have high schoolers listening to us because she sent it to her friends. So I just want to say to the parents out there,
why
we're
are you
gonna
letting your kids listen?
Yeah, why are you need to monitor your kids better, dude. These kids, man, let me talk about this real quick. Can I just kind of rant for a second here, and then we'll go into some stuff. But here's what I was thinking the other day. Because this generation, wow, I just shook my whole camera. This generation, they are being stalked by their parents, right? Find my friends or whatever, right? Like you can track your kids. Okay, so when little Susie May says, hey, mom and dad, can I go stay at Sally's house tonight? They know she's going to Sally's. Even if they don't want to talk to Sally's parents, they can see on their phone where Susie May went. And if she leaves her phone there, they might even have a freaking chip in her that she doesn't know about. Okay.
Think about all the times we went to the gas station, went to Dollar General.
Bro, this is what I'm saying.
This aren't super far away, but we could have been going anywhere.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Anytime I was like, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to stay at Mikey's this weekend. Bro, I never got near Mikey's. You know what I'm saying? They're like, all right, when you come back? Tomorrow, maybe Sunday. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Dude, I would take like road trips to Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? Like I would hitchhike to, West Indies. I don't know where that is. But yeah,
Indiana.
Isn't that crazy? Like, yeah, West Indiana. That's where I ended up. But it's crazy, right? Because, yeah, I mean, we could be going anywhere. And our parents would just be like, all right, we'll see you when you get back, whenever that is. I mean, They would check in, but it's like, it's just kind of crazy, man. So anyway.
And we aren't full degenerate. Like, we weren't terrible kids.
No, we didn't do bad. We didn't do bad stuff. I mean, I don't think shoplifting and, and vandalism and, anyway, I'm going to stop.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, a statute of limitations has got to be up by now. But anyway, Jacob, I wanted to ask you about something that you mentioned before this podcast, and then we can kind of get into it. What are Post Malone Oreos, and are they different or worth it from regular Oreos?
I don't know. It's still unopened, as you can see.
Why don't you do this right now, live on the Half Brothers Pod?
Okay, I'll give it a try.
This could be our first review segment of a new product. Here we go. And can you just read the flavor and like what it says on there?
Yeah, it is salted caramel and shortbread flavored. Also, They are not like the I don't know if it's gonna be able to pick this up. Yeah, you can tell a little bit. So it's not just regular Oreo. It's like a little vinyl disc. It's kind of cool.
That is pretty sweet.
So we'll give them a try here. We'll let you know.
See it, bro.
Wow, dude! I thought they were gonna be double stacked on it. It's just one cookie in there. So I just pulled up one cookie. Oh. Okay. So it says Post on this one, P-O-S-T, and the other one is just regular Oreo.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, let's taste it. Let's do it. We're going to play some sound effects here. Crunch, crunch. Oh, I can hear that. Why don't you crunch in the mic? Okay, I didn't do too much, but that's all right.
Give you guys some ASMR.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
These are gas.
Okay, now define gas for those that are my age and older out there.
Because
that's Okay,
great.
I thought you were gonna say like, way too expensive.
Do you actually not
Um,
know that gas means like good?
no, I mean I did, but I didn't know that for the longest time.
When did you find out?
Last time I hung out with you, last time I hung out with you.
I usually
Okay,
say
well,
gasoline is my thing.
right, and I think I mean, yeah, I left my car in Ohio, so I don't have to worry about gas too much anymore. But okay, what's your score? What are we thinking? Well, let me ask you a few things. Texture, how's the texture?
It's an Oreo.
Okay, great. How's the flavor?
Better than a regular Oreo.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like if
now
full time, I would get these over regular Oreos any day. That being said, I haven't had a pack of Oreos in probably years. It's been years. Like I got
dang.
when we went on that trip last year, or not last year. We went to my aunt's for Thanksgiving. He gave us some Oreos on the plane. Took one bite of the Oreo, gave them to my mom. I was like, man, these
Gotcha.
are not as good as they used to be.
Dang. So what's your rating for the Post Malone Oreos live on the Hat Brothers podcast?
I'm gonna give those a solid 8. Solid 8.
8 out of
100. No, just
Okay, yeah,
kidding. 8 out of
that's
10. 8 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Here, how about I review? How about I do a review? I'll do
Okay.
a live review.
All right.
So these are this is the Meloxicam, 15 milligrams,
All right.
CVS Pharmacy. We're gonna do this right here.
That's Walgreens.
I had oh shoot, these are the wrong ones. But okay, we're gonna do Walgreens Pharmacy Meloxicam. Now these say on the label, take 1 tablet by mouth every day as needed. I mean, where else was I gonna take it? Okay, and it looks like it doesn't say calories or anything. Let's just do a live reaction real quick. Meloxicam, 15 milligrams. Let's try it out.
What are we doing? For those of you who don't know, Glenn just had hip surgery, okay? He's getting old. Can't believe you're popping pills on the
All right.
podcast.
Yeah, I forgot to take that earlier, so I just figured I should probably do that now. And but I would give that a solid I give that a solid 6 out of 10.
Means the Oreos are better.
6 out of 10. I would go with the Oreos for sure over the Meloxicam. Okay. I'm going to shut up with the funny business because we're going to get serious today, all right? This is no laughing matter. No, but seriously, guys, let's transition. Jacob has had some stuff on his heart, on his mind. So we're going to get a little deep today, get a little spiritual. So if you are a religious person, this might be a really fun, helpful podcast for you. If you're not religious, this could be a pretty cool podcast for you still. You can get some perspectives maybe and, that you'll learn about some things. But regardless, we got some stuff we want to talk about. And we're going to talk about sacrifice today. Sacrifice is a topic.
Yep.
But you know what? Let's start with Jacob because Jacob was inspired to do this one today. So Jacob, I'm just curious if you want to share your thoughts, your inspiration this week. I know you said you'd been praying and felt like this was on your heart, on your mind. So catch us up and we'll get going.
Yeah. So I'd say probably about a week ago now, I saw this Instagram reel that was talking about what Jesus went through on the cross. So that's mainly going to be the sacrifice that we're talking about is Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. And it was talking about the pain and everything that he went through on the cross. And I'd never heard about it I heard it talked about like that. And honestly, I had never really understood the details because all of what I had been able to visualize about Jesus on the cross has been through different movies, different things like that. And while everybody does do their best to kind of try to show how brutal it is, and not everybody does try to do their best. Some people do try to make it seem a lot more innocent than it was. This guy was talking about it and just how brutal it was, and I was like, man, I did not realize most of that. And then George Janko just recently had his 100th podcast, and he had Bryce Crawford on there. He had a bunch of people on there. He called it the Christian Avengers. There was Ruslan, Bryce Crawford, Johnny Chang, Cliff and Stewart, and then Girls Gone Bible were on there. So it was a bunch of people. You never seen Girls Gone Bible?
What a name that is.
Yeah, I know. Great name.
No, I'm not. I think someone told me about them, but
they got George to stop cussing.
Well,
but anyway,
they must be cute.
They are. I'm not gonna lie.
That's why.
But anyway, I'm gonna play that clip. We're gonna do our best to actually get it into the video post. I think we can pull it off. But for now, we're just gonna play the audio.
All right, so apparently you can't post Instagram reels for commercial use, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play you guys the audio. What Jesus was really scared of on the cross. Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. The Bible says he starts sweating blood. He's so distressed. He says, if there's any other way. Many people think he didn't want to have to go through the pain he went through on the cross. And that was the most excruciating thing he could think of. If you ever seen the movie The Passion of Christ, Jesus would have loved to be treated the way they treated him on Passion of the Christ. It was such a cute depiction of it really happened. He would have ate that. His intestines were hanging out. His entire rib cage was showing on both sides. His beard chunks were pulled out. His spine was opened up and exposed. The tissues and the muscles around his spine were exposed. Isaiah chapter 11 says you could not tell whether he was man or a woman, and he was naked. Romans didn't crucify you with a garment. You were naked. You had to carry a 200-pound, 300-pound cross, like how we squat in the gym. You had to carry that for some miles up a hill. With his body open, all his blood gone, completely no energy, and he carries it for a long way. Shows how strong Jesus was in his human body. All the nerves in his hands are pierced through. Nerves here, and nerves in both his feet. So he has shocking nerve pain in both arms. While he's on the cross, he's suffocating. So he has to lean up to breathe, but he's on a rugged, splintery cross, and his spine is open. So he's rubbing splintery wood on his open tissues and muscles. For 6 hours, he's doing this to breathe and rubbing, while nerve pain is shooting in his arms and shooting in his feet. Every second of his life, every breath is the most excruciating pain he could ever take. And he doesn't say anything. The only time he yells out, he screams in pain, saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because from noon to 3, him and God are having negotiations about you. From noon to 3, he that knew no sin was becoming sin. And God had to turn his back on his son so he could turn his face to you. And for 3 hours, 4 hours, he separated from the Father. And the worst pain he felt in that moment was not his intestines hanging out. It was not his spine exposed. It was not the railroad nails in his arms. It was that for 4 hours, I don't feel him.
Yes, I mean that gives me chills just listening to it. So like essentially like when he's saying, he doesn't feel him, like that is the moment that Jesus takes on the sin of all mankind. Like that is when, he is paying for our sins and he takes that on in flesh. And it's just crazy to think that like he was going through all that. Like the thing that gets me the most is like the spine exposed, rubbering on splintery wood. Like it's not finished wood. This is not like a nice, pretty cross like we see up in churches. Like this is it's a splintery piece of wood that is digging into his exposed spine. And the most pain that he felt was from the sin of all mankind. Not the sin of all mankind in the world, not the sin of all the Jews in the world, not the sin of all his disciples. My sin, your sin, everybody's sin that will ever be being put on him in that moment. And it just hits me somewhere thinking about it, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And like just as a historical note, because again, this is, we're going to try our best to make this relevant to everyone. But obviously this will be most relevant for those that are practicing Christians. But what they're talking about, the crucifixion was an ancient practice in Rome of really like the punishment of a criminal, right? Some of the worst criminals. And it was incredibly painful. Everything they just said in that description and more of crucifixion. It's like the most brutal death penalty that there has ever been. And most of the time, or really all of the time, when you were being crucified, you had committed a serious crime. And so what's really significant about someone like Christ being crucified, whether you believe in his message or not, most historical or historians, I would say, in documentation that we have points towards Jesus was crucified, that, he did die on a cross. He did suffer and was tortured. And the reasoning, though, that they put him on trial and that they found him guilty was because he had claimed to be God, right? He had claimed to be the Messiah, all these things. But other than that, which that is a huge deal. If you're not the Messiah, that is a huge deal back in this day. And again, I'm not a historian. I'm just a guy. We're both just guys. We've studied this. We have great teachers and pastors that have taught us things. I took some seminary classes, wasn't smart enough to stick around. But what I do know is that back then, the biggest offense in that culture was for you to say that you were God or that you were the Messiah. So a lot of people were actually killed for that same reason. Jesus was not the first one, right? He wasn't the first one to claim that he's God and to be killed for it or whatever. His impact, his life, everything else about him is different. And, we can dive into that some other time. And I have so many people I'd love to have on this podcast that are really great historians and theologians that could really go in depth on this. But when you think about what he went through, if he didn't commit these crimes, if he was who he says he is, then he's the first and only truly innocent person to suffer this type of death. And so with what you're saying, like the pain that he's feeling, obviously, like as a Christian, we do believe he was fully man, fully God. If you're not a Christian, then you believe he was fully human. So like anyone feels that pain. Like imagine someone or yourself feeling this pain. Like this is the most brutal death penalty. And we don't really have the death penalty in this country mostly anymore. And so and even when we do, it's a lot, I think they have like different methods of it that are way more
Humane.
quote unquote humane or ethical. There's pills, there's injections, there's all this stuff, regardless of where you stand on that. We're not going to get into that part, but it's not anywhere near what a crucifixion was
being
in ancient
nailed
Rome.
to a splintering piece of wood for 6 hours.
Yeah. And the days leading up to that, not feeding him and beating him and making him carry the stake of the cross that he's going to be crucified on.
Yeah.
And beating him before that. So yeah, Passion of the Christ, again, great movie for, if you're a Christian, it's a beautiful movie to just watch. And it, again, as the guy says in the video, it doesn't even paint a glimpse of what truly went on because it's acting, it's cinematography, it's only a few hours. And then it's also just like, for people that like history and, like literature and like what the Bible account is of Jesus's last day or days, that's a great movie to really visualize what we really can't comprehend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you touched on a little bit, and I'm sure you've probably done a bit more research than me. But all the research I have done and been able to find is not one person who is actually a credible historian denies that Jesus Christ was a real person, and that he died on the cross. Like they say that's one of the most proven historical facts that exists. Whether they're believer or non-believer, that's, almost indefinitely what something that happened throughout the course of history.
Here's what I can say. I mean, it's still debated. I would say the majority of historians have agreed. Yes. I mean, it's really not even a question if Jesus existed. The question is, and it's not even really a question if he was crucified. The question is, did he raise from the dead?
Yeah.
That's the question that historians will obviously disagree on, but what they don't disagree on is the impact that he made, and that there is a ton of eyewitnesses that claim to have seen him raised from the dead. Yeah. Now, I will say, I believe it's Islam that teaches
he didn't die.
That he was not crucified.
Yeah. Most
other religions or even scholars, atheist scholars, would say that he was 100% crucified. He was 100% put on trial and killed. But I think they believe he ascended into heaven. But other than that, yeah, most people don't deny that. Here's what I can say. We have more documentation or evidence, I guess, of Christ's life and the accounts in the New Testament than we do of Plato and some other big names in history, or
Julius Caesar.
Yeah, more documentation.
Nobody denies Julius Caesar was a person.
Exactly. And it's so I think from a historical standpoint, regardless of what you believe, you got to look at the evidence, and like you can't really deny that he was a person, unless you also want to say that we don't know if Plato existed, we don't know if Julius Caesar existed. Like there's a lot of things that we have less evidence for than the life of Christ.
Yeah.
But we should definitely have. I know a lot of great theologians, historians, Christian, non-Christian, atheist, Muslim, that we should definitely interview moving forward about some of this stuff, and maybe even we'll host a debate one of these days. So we can have some scholars come up in here, have a little religious history nerd podcast. Some of you guys heard that and you said, I'm not listening to that, and we still love you. But for those that do want to hear that,
It's coming.
You better get your snacks and your Post Malone Oreos ready, because that's going to be a fun one.
But yeah, that was something I wanted to talk about and to share because, like I said, I saw that video and then I watched George's podcast, and when he had Bryce Crawford on there, Bryce was kind of just talking about his struggles with sin and how like he still struggles with things like different anxieties and lust and just different types of sin, and how he still struggles with them. And the thing that helped him get over a lot of those struggles was anytime he starts to feel that temptation creep in, he just pictures Jesus on the cross and him suffering because of our sin, like him suffering because I'm about to give into this temptation to watch something on the internet I shouldn't be watching, or to take something I shouldn't be taking, or to, lose my temper with somebody at soccer. Like he just pictures Jesus up on the cross when he starts to feel that temptation. And that was something that really spoke to me because like I do still struggle with, different types of things. There's some things that I've been able to kick, and God willing will continue to stay on the other side of, but there's some things that I do still struggle with. And when I heard him say that, I was like, I'm going to use that tool for myself to try to combat these things. Anytime I start to feel that temptation creep in, just remember his sacrifice for me and what he went through up on that cross. And then the third thing, which just kind of made it seem like, hey, God, God is telling me I need to talk about this right now, was at church on Sunday. The pastor was actually talking about it as well. Like he was talking about Jesus' sacrifice on the cross and what it meant to him and everything, and just all this different stuff. And they usually do, at my church, they do communion on the first Sunday of every month. And he wanted to do communion again this week because he was like, I just feel like, with what I shared today and, with the sermon that I gave, like, I just feel like, we should finish it off with communion. So it was very powerful. And then, I went up and talked to one of my friends there about, some things I got going on in my personal life. And I asked him to introduce me to the Baptist pastor, the pastor that handles the baptisms and everything. So I am currently in the process of being baptized. There's a little bit of a course, got to go through a couple meetings and everything, and then actually get it scheduled. But I'm hoping that it goes well. I'm hoping that I get to be baptized. The thing that is concerning for me that makes me think they may not want to baptize me is I've seen them do 2 baptisms at the church since I've been going. And the one that I saw this pastor do, because it was the one that my friend did, the one that you met, he did the first one that I saw. And then the second one was the actual baptism pastor, the one that you got to do these classes with, one you had to have these meetings with. And when he did his, he was asking the gentleman that he was baptizing, he said, well, what are sort of some reasons that you actually want to get baptized other than, it being required for salvation? And for the very longest time, just due to me reading scripture, just due to, me not necessarily thinking deeply about some things in scripture, just seeing, Jesus say, hey, you should be baptized. The fact that Jesus was baptized himself, that was something I believed. I believed in order for you to have salvation, for you to make it to heaven and to ascend into heaven, you do have to be baptized. And then again, on George's 100th episode, they brought up the topic of baptism. And Cliff Connectly, I think it was Cliff. I always get him and his son confused. Which one's Cliff? Which one's Stuart? It's Cliff. It's 100% Cliff. It's the older guy. But they asked him the question. They said, do you believe that you have to get baptized in order to be to ascend into heaven? And he said no. He was like, no, I don't believe that. He was like, I think, if you are truly a Christian, if you do believe in Christ, like I think it's absolutely something that you should do. But I don't think it's necessarily required for salvation. Something that I disagreed with watching the episode. So I let myself open my mind, let myself hear what he had to say. And he brought up, something else that happened on the cross, which was one of the men on the cross next to Jesus, who a lot of people, the thief on the cross. And there's one guy on the cross that's making fun of Jesus, saying, if you are God, get us down from these crosses. Like, if you're God, why are you letting this happen to you? And then the other guy says to him, he's like, shut up. Can't you see that this is truly God? Like, this is truly him. And then he says to Jesus, he said, please remember me when you get to heaven. And Jesus tells the man, like, I tell you what, this day I will, you will be with my Father and I in heaven. That man was not baptized. That man died on the cross with Jesus, and he did not go through baptism. He did not live a sinless life. He was a criminal. And Jesus told him that he would see him in heaven. So if salvation is required, I know there's a lot of different Christians that believe, if baptism is required, I know there's a lot of different Christians that believe that it is. I no longer do. I think it's important. I do want to get baptized myself, but I don't believe it's required for salvation. But if it was the case that it is required, I think that kind of just disproves that Jesus would have been the Messiah and he would have been the Son of God. Because in order for Jesus to be the Messiah and to be the Son of God, he would have had to have lived a sinless life. And if he told that man a lie on the cross, well, that's sin. So if he told that man that he was going to see him in heaven, then it would have had to have been the truth. It could not have been a lie. And that man did not get baptized. Therefore, baptism cannot be a requirement to make it into heaven. I do think it's important. I do think if you're truly a Christian, you're walking with Christ, you should get baptized. But I don't think it's a requirement in order to be saved.
Yeah, no, that's a Catholic belief. So I don't know. So we can talk a little bit more
I
about that.
go to a Protestant church, and like I said, I vividly remember him saying, it's a requirement to be able to get in heaven, to be baptized.
Yeah, we'll talk about this particular church a little bit in this issue offline a little bit, just because I have some questions I want to ask you. But yeah, I would say that's a traditionally Catholic belief that you have to be baptized, to have salvation and within a certain church. But if we talk about baptism more, first off, congrats, and I'm looking forward to seeing you get baptized. And I think for those of you that are wondering, the significance of baptism, if you're not religious, really what it is it's just us saying hey, I believe this and I am going to commit my life to this. And it doesn't mean that you're going to do it perfectly, but it does mean you're willing to sacrifice the things that you might naturally want and naturally desire, because you would rather have God stir your heart towards the thing that he desires for you. In other words, I want to be rich and famous. I want to have all these, beautiful women. I want to have all these fancy cars, all this stuff, right? It's there might be some good things in some of those things I mentioned. But overall, if I'm saying that's what I want in life and that's what I'm going to live my life for, that's where I'm going to have my fulfillment. Those things are really going to let me down most of the time. Those are material things. Cars break, people die, money goes. You can't take this to the grave. And so what baptism is saying, or any type of kind of commitment in life, is saying, I'm going to sacrifice some of these things that might seem amazing and instead live for something greater than myself, something greater than just my, fleshly desires or my selfish desires. And I'm going to do that and profess that in front of a group of people that are also living for that same purpose. That's what baptism is. It's saying, I acknowledge this, I believe this is who Christ is, what he did, and I'm going to honor him and live my life to serve him and sacrifice, just as he did, sacrifice the things that the flesh might tempt me to do, that my selfish heart might tempt me to do, and instead fix my eyes on him and find my identity and purpose in God's plan for my life and not my own. So, it's
a public declaration of faith.
It's a public declaration. It is symbolic, but it is, it's not just symbolic, right? Like it is a real thing. Something is, I believe, spiritually taking place, happening right there in that moment. But not in the sense of like, oh, now you're a Christian. It's like, no. You were already a Christian. When you make up your mind on something, if I say I'm going to get this job and this is what I'm going to commit my career to be, you don't just like, you're not that thing, like you're not that thing just because, someone told you are. Like, no, right then and there in that moment, that's when you say, now I'm this thing. And then you're going to work your whole life towards that. And you're going to fall short. It's the same with us. We're never going to be perfect. We're going to have our struggles. We're going to, we're going to let people down that we love. We're going to hurt people that we love. You know what I mean? And people are going to look at us and say, you hypocrite. And they're going to be right. But we acknowledge that we shouldn't do those things. So one of the things I would say is, I have friends here in New York City. It's a very, very diverse place as far as religious backgrounds, beliefs, non-beliefs, all this stuff. And a lot of people here in New York and everywhere, but here in New York specifically, they want to live a life where they can fulfill their dreams. Everyone wants that. That's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. I believe those dreams come from God, most of the time, if they're good dreams. Obviously, like, if you're doing something terrible or a crime, those dreams, like if you want to be like the biggest drug dealer in Brooklyn, I don't think that's necessarily, from God. You can make a lot of money doing it though. But, so shout out to those hustling. But, man, my ADD is taking me out when I say these stupid things. I just can't help myself. I got to lighten the mood every once in a while. But for real, we have these things where it's like, I desire this, I want this, and I'm going to live my life for this. Right? Oftentimes, the things that I hear, and even the things that I want to live my life for, are to serve me.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I want to make a lot of money because I want to get my own nice apartment in New York City. This is me talking. I really want that. That would be great, right? And there's nothing bad about that. But where it becomes bad is when that's all I'm living for. I'm worshiping that thing. Because at the end of the day, 10 years, 20 years go by, I get this high-rise apartment in downtown Brooklyn, looking at the beautiful skyline of Manhattan, and I'll think, wow, this is happiness. My life's set. No, I might think I'm thankful, this is great, but if I would really probably get to a point where I'm like, wow, that's it? This is what I live my whole life for? That's a good thing to have, but there's got to be something greater, right? I think when we live for others and we live for something greater than ourselves, we can truly like have purpose and meaning in our life. And so, anyway, kind of rambling a little bit on that point, but baptism, I think, is a declaration, as you said, that is both symbolic and significant spiritually moment in your life where you are saying, I'm willing to make some sacrifices in my life that are nowhere near the comparison of the sacrifice that God took for me.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like I said, I didn't think that way up until I heard, Cliff bring up the thief on the cross. But that, that's kind of when it just clicked for me that I was like, oh wow, he's got a solid point there. And just because I was talking about like it would disprove Jesus as the Messiah. There's another thing that I think a lot of Christians kind of treat one way, and I think me and you may have the same opinion on it, but I just kind of want to ask you to see what your opinion is. Drinking. Sinful, not a sin? I think we have talked about it on the podcast, but
yeah, we might have. And this is, yeah, we'll do this real quick, and then I do want to jump back into some sacrifice things. But as far as drinking goes, I think like universally everyone knows that you can drink too much and you can be really dumb, right? I mean, everyone that's ever drank more than a couple beers or a couple sips of wine has gotten to a point where they should not drive, and, or maybe they're not able to walk. You know what I mean? So I think like at the end of the day, to be short and sweet on this, I think that it's a gift from God. It's a beautiful thing. It should be, it should be enjoyed and celebrated, and but it shouldn't be abused. And so it's all about like taking the gifts that we have and using them for their purpose, which oftentimes was to celebrate a wedding, or birthday, or like all these things, right? But it was never intended to be something where every single weekend you're just going to go and drink as much as possible and then try to so it gives you some courage to go talk to people and things like that. And I just think it's been misused and abused. And so, yeah, alcoholism, not good. Whether you believe in God or not, alcoholism is bad. And we all know why it's bad. It leads to terrible things. It can lead to tragedies. It can lead to infidelity. It can lead to brain damage. It can lead to liver failure. It can lead to a lot of things. So I think for me, I don't think it's so complicated. But I also think that we can try to make it complicated because, again, we're not willing to sacrifice always what we want with alcohol. With that segue. So, yeah, I would say, you got to be careful. Look, I like to drink. And I'll be honest right here on this. I like to drink. I love slamming some beers, watching football, right? I typically know my limits. Most of the time nowadays, I'm pretty good at not passing my limits. But every once in a while, because I am human, because I'm enjoying the environment, the time with friends, social, even with family. Like we had a Christmas Eve thing and my uncles, I've never drank with my uncles. And all of a sudden, my brother-in-law is like, who wants to take a shot of Crown Royal? And I was like, I don't, but I guess my uncle's taking it. I've never done this before. I'll take a shot with my uncle. And then the next thing you know, we take a few shots as a family. And I'm like, wow, I definitely had a little too much, right? And then I had a couple more beers anyway. And I was definitely past, I wasn't terrible. I can handle my stuff. But it's definitely okay, I probably could have railed it back a little bit, right? Thankfully, nothing bad happened. But I think we know our limits. I think we ultimately know when it's healthy, when it's wise to stop. But I will say this, where if you want to say, is drinking a sin, I think that if you are purposely going to it to escape something, even if it's just a few, you got to be careful there.
Yeah.
Because then you're relying on it for something.
Yeah.
And you need to sacrifice, when we try to escape things, it's because we don't want to feel pain or we don't want to deal with whatever it is. But if you're willing to practice self-control and sacrifice that instant gratification, over time, there can be healing for whatever that is, and you can get a better handle on it. So anyway, just because, it is still relevant to the sacrifice theme.
Yeah. And my outlook on it is slightly different. I'm not the biggest fan of it just because it always doesn't matter how many I have, it always kind of just makes me feel unhealthy is like the most layman way I can say it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not healthy.
Yeah, no. And me, I try to stay on the healthier side of things. And so I'm not the biggest fan of it. I have stopped drinking,
you just
stopped
ate
everything.
Post Malone Oreos in front of everyone, and you're gonna try and lecture us
Didn't
about
even
our health.
finish the Oreo.
Look at you, my bad. That's moderation. Look at you, you're not abusing it.
Exactly. But yeah, so I think that more than anything, like anybody that does have a tendency to abuse it, more than anything, it's unhealthy spiritually and it's unhealthy physically. Like it destroys your body. And the second thing I want to say about it is, if you look at the times that Jesus drank or he presented wine to people, like the miracle at the wedding, these are all times of celebration. The Last Supper meal, like that was a time of celebration. Sure, maybe not, as much as the first time was, as much as the wedding was, but that was his last meal with his disciples, before he knew what was about to happen. So if you look at the times that he, was involved with wine, it was all in times of celebration. And I think that's when, you should be looking to drink. It should never be, hey, I'm alone, I'm bored, let me put down a few beers, or hey, I had a tough day at work, let me put down a few beers. It should always be, oh, I just got this promotion, all my friends want to go out to eat, I can have a beer too. I just turned 30, 21, whatever it may be, I can have a beer or two with my family at dinner. It should always be in celebration is something that I feel personally.
I think that's probably the healthiest way to do it. I think it's probably the healthiest way to look at it. And everyone's different, right? Because some people just are able to have some people, man, I know people that never get drunk and they like to drink. You know what I mean? Like they know one or two drinks and they're just good at stopping.
Mm.
Like they're just really good at knowing their limits, and like even if they are kind of stressed, they're like, you know what, it's something I enjoy. Because when we're stressed, it's okay to do things we enjoy. But if you're going to it because it's like, I need this, that's where I'd say, slow down, partner.
Yeah.
All right, why don't you go take a nice cold plunge? Since we didn't pay the gas bill, that's all we got, cold water. But yeah, man, I mean, I would say, yeah, I think that's all good stuff. I think this is all, it's still relevant. So that was a good thing to bring up. I'm sorry if I came at it like, let's not talk about this. No, that was actually a good thing. And it makes me want to drink, actually. I should crack a beer open right now.
Celebrate episode 5.
Oh, man, I could really use one to take off the edge.
In the Elimination Chamber this weekend.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
but anyway,
quick,
I won't sidetrack us. You wanted to finish up more on Sacrifice. And then we can dive into
yeah, because we got to talk about that real quick. But, okay, here's what I would say, Jacob. Actually, let me ask you this. How about this? I'll ask you some questions, and maybe you'll give an answer. I didn't need to say that. But let me ask you this quick question, and let's try to keep this to like quick 30-second answers for each of us. We can each answer this. What sacrifices would you say have shaped your life the most?
Perfect question. So I'll just get real with you guys. If you watched all of the last episode, I did mention that I am newly sober. About a little over 2 weeks now. I don't exactly know the days. But a little over 2 weeks, and it's felt great. It has felt incredible. So that is, one of the things that I've been sacrificing. I've never had a problem with alcohol, never been a huge drinker, like I said. I've always kind of felt very unhealthy. Doesn't matter how many I drink, I've always felt unhealthy the next day. But I was a big partaker in the cannabis or the marijuana, or I'll just straight up say what most people know, weed. I was a huge weed smoker. I'm talking multiple times a day. Just feeling a real dependency on it. I remember telling you like, oh yeah, I just use it to go to bed, and I lied right to your face. Like I would be smoking multiple times a day. And a lot of times it would put me to sleep. I'm not gonna lie. Like a lot of times it would knock me out super quick. But yeah, I recently stopped smoking. And because I just kind of wanted to ensure that was the habit, I decided to just completely go sober. And it's been very freeing for me. And then another thing that I've sacrificed is I've always had an addiction to women. I've always been that guy that wants to be in a relationship. Talked about it in the first episode. I'm sure I've talked about it in other episodes as well. But always wanted to be in a relationship. Always wanted to have a girlfriend. Always wanted to, have somebody that I could talk to all the time, that I could hang out with when my friends were busy, that, if I wanted to go see this movie, I knew they'd go see it with me because they're my girlfriend. So yeah, those are the two big sacrifices I've made towards the end of last year and obviously all of this year. And they have been very, very life-changing and rewarding for me. And I'm not saying, nobody should date and like you shouldn't be interested in girls. But you definitely shouldn't be doing the things that I was doing and dating for the reasons I was dating.
Yeah, and if I can just add to that real quick, actually, I think you're still seeing the fruits of that, right? Because it's going to take time. Also, there's probably some people smoking weed listening to this podcast right now. So, shout out to you guys. Yeah, so if you need help, if you don't want to do it anymore, call Jacob. If you like doing it,
for a day, fasted from food for a day, and it made me stop thinking about doing that stuff. It made me, all I was thinking about was, man, if I could just eat some food, man, I'd be fine. And yeah, I've been good since.
Good, man. I've done fast food for a day before. Like every meal, fast food one day.
Oh yeah.
Lots of what I wanted to say though was for you though, Jacob. One thing I think is like, a couple years ago, you started a new career and you were pretty uncomfortable at first, right? In sales.
Yeah.
And so I think like, if you think about it there, I want to say like, I'm very proud of you for that because, you sacrificed comfort in your other jobs that you had previously, right? Because like you knew kind of like physical therapy and training and stuff like that, but you wanted to try something new. You wanted to give this a shot and you sacrificed being comfortable and you instead went and did something very uncomfortable, tried something new. Something very hard, by the way. Sales, as you know, is hard, and now you're crushing it.
I'm still uncomfortable.
You've been doing it for a while, and it's always gonna be a little uncomfortable. That's okay though, because like that, builds you, that grows you. So I would say keep it up. For me, I'll try to be quick on this because I only have like 5 minutes left before I get interrupted by 2 grown men that live with me, roommates in New York. That's the only way I can afford to live here, guys. And yes, Jacob has a whole house to himself that's larger than my apartment with 3 men. Anyway,
Ohio.
difference of Ohio and but we have fun crackheads and human feces on the street. So and that's what I sacrificed. No, some sacrifices for me, I would say, is I've always loved having fun and being with friends and being social, right? And one thing I struggled with in school, college, everything was discipline, because I instead wanted to like hang out with my friends at night instead of really study and work on homework, right? So what I have sacrificed over the last few years, and it does get easier as you get older, I have sacrificed having fun to work more on things that will benefit me, whether it's working out, whether it's, working more on my comedy writing, because I love comedy and that's what I'm pursuing here in New York City. At the same time, it's so easy to buddies text me like, hey, you want to go watch the game at a bar? And I'm like, that would be so much fun, actually. But it's like, no, I'm going to stay right here, stare at this journal for an hour and write 2 jokes that both are not funny. Because even though that sucks, it's still part of growing, right? So it's like sacrifice on that level. And then I would also say, I think dating or friendships and dating, like it was always easy for me to find that security in people or a person, and spending more time alone and in prayer and just like thinking about my past, my upbringing and all these things, and kind of like dealing with those thoughts and those emotions has been very helpful as I grow and continue to grow. So with that, folks, ask yourself the question, what are you sacrificing, or what could you sacrifice that could maybe help shape your life? And I'd also just say that there's beauty in sacrifice. And so what we talked about today with Jesus on the cross, if you're a Christian, we believe that ultimately the beauty of that sacrifice is that it was a loving sacrifice, that we sinners that deserved, to have this capital punishment instead get to walk scot-free, because God loved us so much that he came down in the flesh, perfect life, innocent man, and died a death of a criminal. And so that's beauty in that sacrifice. There can be beauty in the sacrifices in life because of what they mean. Ultimately, in sacrifice, good things come from it. It leads to something greater. It's something greater than that instant gratification, that instant feeling, whatever it is in your life. So with that, some people are going to be sacrificed this weekend at the WWE Elimination Chamber.
All right.
We got John Cena, CM Punk, Jey Uso, right?
No, he's already got his spot in the main
He's
event.
already good. McIntyre, Ramon, right?
Man, dude. All right, we got John Cena, Damian Priest, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul. Rumor mill has it Damian Priest is hurt and is going to be replaced in the Elimination Chamber. Real quick, would like to do rapid fire questions every other episode. We did episode 3. We could do it again today. I got 20 questions queued up about WWE, but you asked your chat GPT the same thing. But before we do that, let's go ahead and pick our winners for the chamber. I'm going the very obvious one, the best in the world, CM Punk.
Why is that? Elaborate.
His whole storyline is never having main events at WrestleMania. And he's hot right now. He's on TV every week. He deserves to finally main event WrestleMania. And I think this is his time.
Okay.
Cena doesn't deserve it.
Okay.
I'm a Cena stan, but he doesn't deserve it.
Okay. I'm just queuing up my questions as you're answering that. I think that you're right, actually. I am also picking CM Punk.
Yeah.
I really did pick that. I think they're going to make Cena's year so dramatic.
They're going to make you want it. They're going to make you think that it's not going to happen.
And he's got to earn it. And you know what, Jacob? I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that he's going to get
17.
I don't think he's going to get 17.
I'm honestly kind of with you, dude. I don't think it's gonna happen. Just
Yeah.
because he's not as full time as he made it sound like he was gonna be. If he was, I would believe it's gonna happen. But because he's still doing this part time thing,
Well,
don't
he's
think
going to
it's
be
gonna happen.
around for a lot of events in March and a lot of
That's
events
what
in
they
April.
say, but he's just
No,
gonna
they're
cut
scheduled.
Yeah, but
It
he's
is
just gonna
guaranteed.
cut promo and.
I mean, yeah, but the dude is not in great shape. Like I'm fine with him not wrestling every single week because I would rather him save it. Load management for a
Punk
guy like
doesn't
that is
wrestle every
fine.
week. Punk barely ever wrestles on Raw or SmackDown, but he's still there. He's still creating stories.
Yeah, I do think we're going to see a lot more John Cena after this movie
man.
is filmed. Yeah, I promise. So anyway, all right. Well, I got to go soon. So let's do this rapid fire WWE questions. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Like you want me to ask first?
Yeah. Do you want to ask first? Or you want me to ask first?
Yeah. I'll ask first.
Okay, great.
Alrighty.
We'll set a timer for. How about this? How about we give each other 2 minutes?
I was gonna say
because it didn't. Oh, I put 2 hours. It didn't work 2 hours. Okay, tell me when, and I'll go.
All right, ready, set, go. What do the initials WWE stand for?
World Wrestling Entertainment.
Who is the head of creative in WWE?
Right now?
Yes.
Triple H?
Yes. What year did WWE officially change from WWF to WWE?
It had to be like 2002.
I don't actually know.
What you know the answers?
No, I don't know the answer to that one. What is WWE's biggest annual event?
WrestleMania.
What are WWE's 3 main brands?
Raw, SmackDown, and NXT?
Yeah. Who has the most WWE championship reigns?
WWE?
Yeah.
John Cena.
Yep, that's correct. Who was the first ever Universal Champion?
Oh, shoot. Was it...
You're not going to get this.
Flair?
No, Finn Balor.
Hogan. Oh, okay.
Universal was a newer one. It happened in 2017.
My hip's
the longest reigning WWE champion of all time?
John Cena.
Bruno Sammartino.
What?
Yeah, old.
Stand up.
Which female has the most women's championship reigns?
Trish Stratus.
Charlotte Flair.
Dang it.
Wrestling Iconics moment. Which WWE superstar is known for "You Can't See Me"?
I don't know. I've never seen him. John Cena.
Yes. Who broke the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak?
Oh my gosh, Brock Lesnar, and it was so stupid.
What year did Brock Lesnar debut?
That's got to be like 2002.
All right. How much time we got left? We got enough?
A few more seconds, yeah.
All right. What is Stone Cold's finishing move?
The Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah. And then what was the name of DX's signature catchphrase?
Suck it.
Yeah. The trio of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose was called what?
Oh, shoot. Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. Why did I just forget it? It just slipped my mind. Hold on. Okay, I lost the timer. What was it again?
The Shield.
The Shield. Oh, my gosh, dude. Okay, I have the questions and answers right here, by the way.
Okay.
So next time, tell to give you answers.
Okay. I knew most
All right, here
of
we
them.
go. Yeah,
Just
that's true.
go.
Yeah, you're an expert. Here we go. These are 2000s and 2010s, though.
Okay.
Do you want, is it you cool with that?
Oh, yeah. I'll breeze through this.
Even like early 2000s, you think you got?
Oh, I'll breeze through this.
Okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and who ended The Undertaker's WrestleMania
Brock
streak?
Lesnar.
Okay, who was the first ever WWE Undisputed Champion in 2001?
I actually don't know that one. Brock Lesnar.
I'll give you a hint. Y2K.
No way. Chris Jericho?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess that was a big hint. Okay, what? Oh, you should know this. What was John Cena's first WWE title win against? Who did he defeat?
Like WWE title? JBL.
WWE. Yes. Okay. Who was the leader of Evolution?
Ric Flair.
No, but he's in it.
Triple H.
Yeah. Okay, which superstar cashed in Money in the Bank in WrestleMania 31?
31. Seth Rollins.
Nice. Wow. Who won the 2006 Royal Rumble match? It's your favorite. It was your favorite wrestler. Yeah. Okay. Which WWE faction was known for their "You Suck" chants
DX.
during? Or wait, well,
Faction?
yeah. Which era? For Kurt Angle's theme, where they said "You suck."
Yeah, it was Kurt Angle. I was gonna say Kurt Angle or.
It was the Ruthless Aggression era, though. That was okay. Anyway, sorry, that was a weird question. Okay, what year did CM Punk drop the pipe bomb promo?
I wasn't watching when he did that, so I'm gonna say 2012.
Close, 2011. Which two superstars had their first ever Hell in a Cell in 97? These are two icons.
Mick Foley and Undertaker.
Undertaker, yes. Undertaker, yes, but
Mankind.
someone else.
It's not any of his alter egos.
No, it's Undertaker and...
Kane?
Nope. One more. Sexy Boy.
Oh, Shawn Michaels. Wow. I did
Yep.
not know
Okay.
that.
Who retired Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 26?
The Undertaker?
Yep. Okay. What was the name of Edge and Christian's talk show segment? Oh, do you remember that one?
Oh, something Peeps?
The Cutting Edge. Who was the first person to defeat Brock Lesnar clean after his return in 2012?
Cena. No.
Goldberg. Yep. And last one, who did the Shield attack in their WWE debut at Survivor Series 2012?
I actually don't know this. I don't know.
Rhymes with I snack. It's okay, you're out of time. It was Ryback.
Oh, nobody likes him.
Whatever, yeah. So,
Dang,
dang,
I did
well,
so bad.
you did pretty well, actually, because some of those were like, you were like still eating, Cheerios or whatever with extra chocolate milk. All right, well, we went a little long today, but that's okay. It's probably, if anyone listened this far, they were probably a church person anyway, so, or WWE fan that came back after the church stuff. So, guys, we love you. Thank you guys for joining us today. Again, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. So keep giving us feedback. Some episodes you like, some you won't. We're trying our best to please everyone, entertain everyone, and encourage everyone. But always great to hear your thoughts. That's all I got. Jacob, anything else?
Nope. I'm all set, man.
All righty. We love you guys. God bless you, and have a wonderful week. Enjoy the sun, because hopefully it's out by the time this podcast is. Jacob, take it away.
Happy Monday, guys. Bye-bye.